Team Kenny Roberts, the three-time 500cc World Championship, embarked upon his career as a manufacturer in Charleroi when we saw the Modenas Kr3 turn a wheel for the first time in the public eye. It has been an impressive project that has kept them all burning the midnight oil at the team's base in Banbury, Oxfordshire, since the first drawings were produced last year in May. With design and manufacturing input from the TWR racing concern and their extensive Formula 1 experience, the bike is a very compact three-cylinder machine that looks very futuristic, even in a Grand Prix paddock. Teething problems beset Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle and American KRJR from the start of the weekend, but it could have been classed as another test session for the new bikes. It's been a very secret project, and they've all been keeping things extremely covered up.
Kenny Roberts Jr. crashed when water got on the rear wheel from an onboard cooling leak, confirming suspicions that the Modenas Kr3 carries its radiator under the seat. He was able to restart in spite of a broken gear lever and ride home in third gear. With no time to bring in new cranks, pistons, and cylinders from TWR in England, Marlboro Team Roberts fitted new water pumps to the Modenas Kr3. Jean-Michel Bayle was pleased by improvements, qualified 13th, although he had to push home on one occasion with a mysterious problem. Kenny Roberts Jr. is still finding it hard to adapt his riding style to the Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3. He crashed on Friday, was unhurt, eventually qualified 22nd. Jean-Michel Bayle rode aggressively in all practice sessions. He crashed once, but he is beginning to make some real progress with the Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Triple. He was 14th with a time of 1:45.1. Kenny Roberts Jr., who learned to ride a four-cylinder 500 last year after switching from a 250, is now having to learn to ride the smaller, lighter Modenas Kr3, which he says is really more like a 250 than a 500 in some ways. He qualified 18th. Although the Modenas Kr3 continues to have teething problems, Jean-Michel Bayle lapped in 1:55 dead to qualify for 10th, raising hopes in Marlboro Team Roberts for a top 10 finish on Sunday. Rain stayed away. Practice was a chilly and windy affair, and the riders, especially in the 500 class, complained that the surface had little grip and that off the racing line the track was icy slick. The Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3 showed up with new fairings, new radiators, and many new engine parts, but they were visibly down on top speed and acceleration at the A1 ring, where sheer horsepower is the key to a good lap time. Kenny Roberts Jr. qualified his Modenas Kr3 in 17th position to lead off the fifth row. It was a frustrating practice session for the team on a track where they fell behind on the long 180-mile-an-hour straights. Former World Motocross and American AMA Supercross champion Jean-Michel Bayle, riding at his home Grand Prix, crashed the Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3 but was uninjured. He qualified 16th on the outside of the fourth row. Bayle's teammate, Kenny Roberts Jr., was on the limit and nearly high-sided on a couple of occasions, but did manage to qualify the three-cylinder Modenas in 13th place. The Modenas machines had new fairings, new engine parts, and Kenny Jr.'s bike was only 7 miles per hour down on the fastest V4 Hondas at the end of the Mistral.
There is Kenny Roberts Jr. though. He walks back into his pit garage. He fell off at the first corner. This is a replay of it. Just gets rid of a high-sider going, and over the top he goes. The bike goes skating down the road, and it sets light. Sets light immediately. Well, flames are licking around the tank of that machine, and hopefully they really do need to get some fire extinguishers on that sooner rather than later. He bravely reaches in. He takes the fuel tank off.
Team Marlboro Roberts had certainly hoped for better results with the revised Modenas Kr3, but the best that Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle could muster was 17th in practice on the fifth row. Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3 machine in the hands of Kenny Roberts Jr. went down early in the Friday practice session when the bike seized.
KRJR was back out in the afternoon session and did manage to qualify 19th. With only a week between races, there was little time for the team to do more than detail work on the prototype machine. Jean-Michel Bayle put up his best qualifying performance of the year. On Friday, he was on the provisional front row, but dropped back to 9th on Saturday and will start from the inside of the third row. With a total weight of just under 260 pounds, the Modenas is now within 7 pounds of the minimum weight limit. Kenny Roberts Jr. continues to lag behind his teammate Jean-Michel Bayle. Roberts' riding style calls for sliding and spinning the rear wheel of the Marlboro Roberts Modenas Kr3. He went down again in practice as the team continues to work to find a way to make the triple suitable to the young American's riding technique. In Germany, the Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3 had its best ever qualifying run as Jean-Michel Bayle slotted the little triple into the second row with a time of 1:39.2, less than a second off the pole. The team has come a long way, but there's still a long way to go.
With regards to the weight, oh no, right on cue. He retires from the race. Didn't mean to say that, Jean-Michel, but he gets pushed back to his Marlboro Team Roberts pit.
Kenny Roberts Jr. continued to be the victim of mechanical gremlins as his Marlboro Team Roberts KRV3 seized 2 cylinders and suffered a variety of other problems during 2 days of practice. He was forced to settle for 17th and a 5th row start. Marlboro Team Roberts Jean-Michel Bayle put the Modenas Kr3 on the second row for the second time in the last 2 races. The lightweight 3-cylinder prototype was giving up a half second down the long back straight and 0.3 of a second on the home straight. But the ex-Supercross champion still managed to qualify 6th. Jean-Michel Bayle rode aggressively in all practice sessions, but he was very obviously on the limit and sometimes over the limit. He crashed twice, separating his right shoulder in the second crash, which took place in the final Saturday qualifying session. He was 14th. Kenny Roberts Jr. fought and wrestled his Marlboro Team Roberts KRV3 to 8th place on the grid. The team came to Donington with very high expectations and are still hoping that Kenny Jr. or Jean-Michel Bayle can give them a strong result on Sunday. So far this season, Roberts Jr. has had an 8th and Bayle has had 3 8th places. Kenny Roberts Jr. was quickest in the damp morning free practice session on Saturday, but had mechanical problems at the beginning of the final qualifying session, eventually taking 11th place in a 3rd row slot. Remember this date, August 30th, 1967, the first front row start for the Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3. Former motocross and supercross world champion Jean-Michel Bayle wanted the pole. He started here on the pole last year on a Yamaha, but he was reasonably pleased with 3rd place. Still battered and bruised from his crashes at the British Grand Prix, Frenchman Jean-Michel Bayle qualified his Marlboro Team Roberts Modenas Kr3 for the 3rd row start. He was 9th on Friday and then 10th in the Saturday afternoon session. Kenny Roberts Jr., who rode the Spanish 250 championship before starting his Grand Prix career, knows and likes this circuit, and it shows. Prior to this Grand Prix, KRJR did 3 days of testing at Brno. After qualifying 7th on Friday, he was hopeful that new parts would improve performance, but he was only able to qualify 8th. Jean-Michel Bayle came to Indonesia with visions of a front row start and a top 5 placing. A broken power valve and ignition problems on Friday held him back in 10th. Then on Saturday he slipped back to 14th. With more grip available, said Bayle, the V4s were able to use their power advantage and the Modenas KRV3 was being outgunned. Kenny Roberts Jr., Marlboro Team Roberts KRV3, spent Friday's practice session switching back and forth between the lighter and heavier of the bikes as he searched for grip and sought to learn a track that he's never raced on. The heavier bike offered better tire contact patch. On Saturday, the team fitted smaller tires made for the V-twins. The Modenas KRV3 ran into serious aerodynamic troubles with front-end lift. Kenny Roberts Jr. said, "It's the worst I've ever had to struggle with a bike." He was 15th on Friday, but suffered a violent high-sider on Saturday. He was bruised and battered, but will start back on the 17th position on the grid.